Hello and a very warm welcome to this special. Over the next 20-25 minutes, we'll be speaking about a booming sport here in India. And to talk to me about that, the poker industry is the CEO of Spartan Poker, Amin Rozani, is here with me. Thank you so much, Amin, for your time.
Thank you, Gaurav.
I want to begin, and I know that we'll get into the specifics over the course of this conversation, but I want to begin by asking you about, give us the big picture. What is the industry like and where has it come in the last few years?
Well, poker comparatively to other skill games is pretty young. It's just come from the West. I would say it's just 5 years old in India. But it's picked up really fast. I would say the entire industry, including online and offline, is close to $500 million now. It employs more than 10,000 people across the country. There may be around a couple of million professionals who have taken it as a career. They compete with their friends, with tournaments outside the country, tournaments online on pretty much a regular basis. So yes, we've come a long way in a very short time.
So you said you've been around for, let's say, the last 5 years. Give us a sense of kind of the size of the market, what is and where it started from and how it's boomed into where it is currently.
Well, it started pretty small in the casinos in Goa, where we used to keep the India Poker Championship. I still remember the first India Poker Championship, we had 65 people who came in.
And this is in, what year is that?
This was 2011.
Okay.
And we were pretty demotivated looking at 65 people, but the casino owner, the casino head, he came and said that these are fantastic numbers for India. Of course, we saw this game in the West, and when we came over here, we expected a really big turnout in the very first day. But then we understood that it's a grind. And today, when we keep the India Poker Championship, we have close to 5,000 to 7,000 people coming and competing against each other.
So presumably, you have to go through qualifying rounds and a much sterner process before you identify the champion.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about those early days? Do you have any memories of those championships? The 2011 one, for instance, you just mentioned starting out there. Do you have any memories that still stick in your mind? I know you mentioned about the interaction with the casino owners, but anything that stays with you?
Apart from the tough days where we were kind of struggling to get the crowd in, there were some nice days as well. This was back in 2014, where we kept our 12th India Poker Championship, and during that event, we were really surprised to see the crowd, which kind of turned out. We had a capacity of 300 seating people for that particular evening, and we had close to 180 people waiting. So although it's a problem, but it's a good problem to have. Of course, eventually we fixed it and we worked on the infrastructure, but that is the time where we actually got motivated, saying that yes, there is scope in India to take this sport forward.
And you've brought it quite a way forward. Tell me a little bit about the comparison that is often made. Rummy, for instance, is something that often gets compared. There are other fantasy sports as well. Give us some perspective on where poker compares with those models.
Well, poker is a lot more younger game. I would say it has a lot more skill required because in poker there's not only mathematics, it's also understanding people around it.
Yeah.
So I would like to share with you a study which was made in Harvard, where they dealt 1 million hands to do this study, and they came to a conclusion that 78% of hands do not have results. Whereas on the other hand, Rummy has 100% is a 100% result-oriented game.
Yeah.
There's a lot more mathematics required when it comes to poker. Hence, if you see all the top poker players are usually professionals, are CEOs, entrepreneurs, doctors, engineers. So they kind of get the edge because of their academics, and it kind of helps them a lot in poker.
You were mentioning about the Harvard study, actually, and you mentioned very interesting aspects such as how you've got to work out the mathematics of a game when you're playing it, how body language plays such an important role, etc. Give us some more, talk a little more about those aspects and what you've seen actually play out in reality when you've been around these tournaments, around these competitions.
Well, as an entrepreneur, I would say there are a lot of synergies to the sport. As an entrepreneur is also mathematical in terms of its investment to returns. We also look at investments which we are not 100% sure about. Maybe we are 50% sure about. So we kind of divide our risk into segregated portfolios where we have certain amount in high risk and quite a few amount in the low risk one. Poker is exactly the same. You as a player, you should be a good poker player should be investing more into hands where he or she feels that they're more than 80% probable to get returns out of it, and play very few hands which has high risk but high returns.
So without giving away any trade secrets, Amin, give me some idea of how you've seen this play out. For instance, when you were holding one of your championships and there are 8 players around, can you, do you sort of look at their body language, look at how they are responding to a certain hand, and you can tell what's going on?
Well, in an ideal scenario, yes, but on the table there are a lot of professionals who understand this, that somebody is trying to read them. So if you actually look at the poker table, you will see a lot of people wearing hoodies, wearing big glasses,
Yes.
Or keeping them out, face hidden so that nobody reads them. A lot of times good professionals also give the wrong tell. So yes, you just have to be careful. You just have to spend a decent amount of time until you're sure of a particular body language.
Which is in a way a sort of clever deception kind of thing that's used in sport a lot. I mean, if you're playing cricket, you bowl the googly. If you're playing badminton, you play a little drop shot when the opponent's expecting you to smash. Tell me, is there one of these things? Is one of these things your favorite? Is there a story that comes to mind about a deception that someone came up with, and you said, "Wow, that was very clever," and it ended up winning them the hand?
Well, quite a few instances, but I remember this one where I was playing the World Championship, World Poker Championship in Vegas. So there was this lady. She was, I think, an Asian American lady sitting on my left, and so pocket kings are 2 kings,
Right.
is the second best hand in the book. And pocket aces is the best hand. And I guess I betted twice to show that I have a strong hand, but I don't know what was in her. How did she even think about that? She just put her entire stack in. A stack is the stack of chips.
Yes.
She put her entire stack in and she went all in. That's the terminology.
Yes.
So just made me think that maybe she is holding the aces, and I let my kings go, which is pretty rare to do at the start of the game. And what it turned out that she had nothing.
You mentioned, I know, I mean, you touched upon this in one of your early answers, but you said there is an offline industry and an online industry, and you gave us a cumulative number about where that stands right now. Can you break that down for those who are following this right now, about where the offline industry sits right now and where the online one sits, and how you see them progressing in the near future?
People coming to play online poker will always be through offline. This will always happen. Like, first I will go to a mall, I will shop over there, and then I will go to an online site and shop over there. So pretty much in poker also, a person will first come and experience the game playing with friends, will understand the game, learn the game, then come to an online poker site.
So essentially what you're saying is, guys get around in these competitive environments and then get hooked to the idea to be then go and play online.
Yes.
Are you seeing crossovers? I mean, are you seeing people doing exclusively one or the other, or are the real sort of committed players doing both?
Well, actually, a bit of both. There are people who exclusively prefer playing online because maybe lack of time, or lack of a group of friends who play a similar sport. Like I would say probably somewhere in a tier 2, tier 3, it'll be very difficult for you to find 8, 9 people to come and play on a Saturday evening. Yes, there are people who exclusively play offline only because they want to keep it as a social game. They like the Thursday night meeting up with friends, having a few drinks, playing a few games, talking a few business topics. And there are committed players who actually play both. There are players who are really good at what they do, and they know the more they play, the more they will earn. So they are committed to both the formats of the game.
Can you talk to the audience a little bit, Amin, about just throw more light on the idea of why it is a skill game, why there is so much skill required to be a successful poker player? Because on the outside, if someone's just getting into it or just starting to know, there's a lot of luck, big luck element involved. If you're talking to me, someone who's just kind of interested but is not a committed player right now, there's a lot of luck. But describe to me why, and give us some illustrations about why there is such an element of skill involved, and that's the predominant factor.
Well, I would again start off with the Howard example, where 1 million hands are dealt, and it says that 78% hands do not show results. Now, when we talk about luck, luck is result. So you are only relying on 22% if you base the entire game on luck, but 78% of the time somebody else is winning the hand. So yes, pretty much with every game there is some factor of luck, but in poker it's predominantly skill.
I mean, you were talking about the skill aspect of this, and the other standout bit about poker is the interest among top CEOs, top businessmen who really want to play. Can you talk about that a little bit, considering you're directly involved? I'm sure you have interacted a lot with them. What attracts them to poker?
I would say one predominant thing or one common thing which all entrepreneurs and CEOs have is they have a lot of ego. They love to win.
Yes.
And poker is one sport where an intelligent guy gets a platform to say that, see, I'm smarter than you. So that ego or that urge to win is something which drives them towards the sport. And again, it's a trendy sport. It's a sport for the youth. So I guess it's in. So I guess that's also an aspect which kind of attracts them.
Yes, and I'm guessing those who lose a few times would then want to get their own back. So then it becomes even more competitive. We're talking here about a partnership that you've just entered, Poker for People. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What made you come into this?
Poker for People, just how the name suggests, Poker for People. What we are trying to do is get this game to everyone. Everyone who's one, not aware of the game, one who's aware of the game but never got a chance to play it and compete in a field like this. And hence, I guess that's the platform we are trying to build from Poker for People, where we intend to keep a very large tournament where pretty much everyone will be invited to compete. They can qualify either by directly coming on to directly applying on the Poker for People website, or playing on Spartan Poker and winning a seat over there.
And from the point of view of Spartan Poker, what's the journey been like? I know you touched on this at the start of this interview, but for the last few years, can you give us some more insight into what your journey has been like with Spartan Poker?
We started Spartan Poker with this thought process close to 5 years ago, where we just got we completely bootstrapped. So we 4 founders, we got together, we contributed. I wouldn't say even invested. The value was so less that we contributed that amount. Got a software on lease. Started off with some friends to see what they experience about the site, and then from there we kind of tried to scale up, and we saw the bottom line doing better. Our formats of the game were appreciated by the poker players. But Spartan Poker keeps one of the best tournaments in the country. That kind of attracted the tournament players, and they got really hooked onto the game. And we saw that a lot of new crowd has also started liking this format, and we've continued with that. So even today, what stands Spartan Poker out and what keeps us different from others is we are a purely tournament site. We focus on tournaments because we feel that that's where most skill is required. This thought process kind of worked for us. The poker industry accepted us and loved us, which has helped us grow close to a 300% CAGR year on year. We continue to give the best value to our customers in terms of their tournament ROIs and in terms of our VIP programs, which we give back to our customers. Right. So from that perspective, it's been quite a grind, but quite an interesting journey with Spartan Poker.
Can you give us some insight about the back end of the operation? Sort of how do you approach players? What sort of initiatives you take to ensure that they stay on the platform?
Spartan Poker, we are a team of 80 resources, where we have our marketing team, which has strategies for offline and online acquisitions. In terms of online, we do digital acquisitions through social media and through other media buying sites. In terms of offline, we've got our space with hoardings, with our India Poker Championship, with our corporate and college events which we do. So yes, a bit of mix of both of it.
So if you have to look at the scene currently, are there players that you believe are the best in the world, currently best in India? Is there a Virat Kohli of Indian poker, for instance, and is there an international player, because you're so closely invested, you're a player yourself, and the company is doing this work. Well, who are the standout players as far as you are concerned?
Well, internationally, these two players are really renowned across the world, and a lot of people would say that they are one of the best in the world. One is Phil Ivey, and second is Tom Dwan. Like any poker player would know these two names. They're like the Brad Pitts of poker. In India, there are quite a few amazing players. They're really great talent in India, and we are getting there. I think three of us have won the World Series of Poker Championship in Vegas. I would say my personal best would be, and my dear friend Nikunj Jhunjhunwala. He's also pretty popular. He can be termed as the Virat Kohli of poker in India. So yeah, these two.
Any tips, any sort of thoughts that you would like? There'll be young players now starting to come on board, starting to think about this, first as a hobby, then perhaps as something that they could even think of playing as professionals. What would your, because now again, because of your sort of emotional and personal investment in this, what kind of tips would you offer to these young and upcoming players?
Well, I would like to advise them on responsible gaming.
Yes.
I would tell them that if you are a recreational player, then there should be only certain amount of time of your week which goes into poker, and certain amount of money which you invest in that. That amount should be as low as possible during the training period. And when you feel you are now ready to compete, then you should slowly increase your investment. Basically, your bankroll management should be absolutely apt, that even if there are rough patches of tournaments which you haven't been able to cash out on, you are still sustainable without any major pinch to your wallet. So yeah, these two things are probably, say, responsible gaming and bankroll management.
Let's do some crystal ball glazing, Amin, before we finish. Just talk to us a little bit about the skill gaming industry, poker in particular, having been part of this journey for the last 5 years. Now the next 4 or 5 years, how do you see that journey progressing?
Well, amongst all the skill games, I would say poker is the most interesting and the most challenging sport of all. It has been accepted and loved by the youth. And this is pretty much a trend which we have seen in the West as well. In the West, I would say even a kid who's 3 years old would know how to play poker. It's that popular in the Western countries. I see a similar trend happening in India. I see that poker will become like a family sport where families would come together. It'll be played in weddings, which pretty much it is already. A group of friends would come and play, group of professionals would come and play, like how in the West you see a lot of people go and play golf. I would say this would become a golf for an indoor golf for India.
Yeah.
I see poker reaching at a lot of places. It is a very aspirational sport, a very challenging sport. Uh, I'm just very happy that I'm a part of this industry, and I just see it booming from here.
All right, we'll be keeping a close eye on how the industry booms, and wish you the very best of luck. Amin, thank you so much for sharing those thoughts. You may have a convert in me in a few days from now, but thank you so much for joining us. So hope you enjoyed it, an insight, a very rare insight into this booming industry of poker.